Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, once again coming to you live with a first impressions video of a brand new anime for the summer 2017 season, one that I had not expected to check out at all whatsoever. I knew nothing about this one. I did not have it listed in my listings of series I wanted to go ahead and check out. First episodes of, was completely caught off guard with this one, just had a few minutes to kill today and decided to watch the first episode and was actually immediately captivated by it. And also heavily reminded of Arslan Senki, which I covered both the first and second seasons of in episodic review coverage and such like that. It was also somewhat coincidental in that earlier in the day I had been watching the Disney film Aladdin, and it just, the vibe, the character designs, the way the characters look, the region, the desert region this happens to be taking place in, just had a similar look and vibe to it that I felt like it was coincidental that I'd be watching Aladdin and then be so reminded of that same kind of aesthetic in the way the region is set up, the way we see the community of Turkey and everything. That is pretty much where the story is surrounding that particular region. And but I found this to be highly intriguing in that, again, it was so reminiscent to Arslan Senki, especially dealing with this Pasha, who is our main character, Mahmut, who is part of the divan of the Turkey stratocracy. And this entire first episode is sort of outlining the idea that within this particular kingdom or country, whatever you want to call it, where there's also an opposing empire, you know, there are people internally to this particular country, perhaps, as well as this outlying empire, that want to instill and instigate war. And they're going so far as to, conduct really unsavory things to try to bring this about. As we see in this episode, one of the officials from the opposing empire is actually assassinated, and it's made to look like the arrows that took his life were constructed in Turkey to sort of put the blame on them and such like that. And it's down to the character of Mahmut, who realizes, well, wait a minute, no, these are differently constructed arrows. It's something that was done on purpose to try to put the blame on us. And he tries to bring this before the other pashas in the divan, but they are not so readily believing of him. And it turns out that his sort of I guess you could say moral guidepost and resident caregiver, an elder pasha by the name of Halil, who helped raise him after a war that had taken place 12 years previously, that apparently it's still very much embittered among most of these people. They want to try to keep as peaceable as possible in the modern day because of this war that they had all suffered previously. But it seems as though Mahmut's mother had been killed in that particular battle. He tried to do everything he could to, preserve her life, but it was a lost cause, and he was taken under the wing of this elder Pasha Halil, and now he has become a Pasha of his own accord, probably the youngest among the court of the divan. And so he decides, with this evidence in tow, to go ahead and travel with Halil, who is, basically said he will be the sacrifice, if you will. He volunteered to go to this opposing empire, per their request, that unless they want immediate war, you'll send somebody to talk this out. And so Mahmut makes the journey with Halil, and they, provide this evidence that shows, okay, there were some internal mechanisms going on there that were trying to, insinuate this war between these two kingdoms, And we're actually introduced to the character on the empirical side who was behind this character of Lewis, who has green hair, and we see by the end, the PV for the next episode, he's gone ahead and gone against, somebody else, got somebody else that he's trying to bring into work in tandem with him to, once again, bring about some penultimate plan to put war into action with the country of Turkey. And so it's very much, it seems like it's going to be an outstanding thing where Mahmut and his people are going to have to time and time again try to avoid war, but it looks like war might be inevitable. And it's just going to be how he and his people deal with that. The losses they may accrue. There were some wacky, more lighthearted moments in the episode where you had him dealing with this character by the name of Ibrahim, who introduced him to a dancer woman, Shahara, or Shara, and it was funny because he's an artistic cat, Mahmut. He writes poetry and is always stargazing, and she had found his book of poetry that he dropped when they had convinced him to dance with them toward the early portion of the episode. And then she snuck into his room, his digs with his book of poetry, and he was all, unnerved by that. He goes and sleeps on the roof and lets her have the bed and all that kind of stuff. And she's like, oh, it's still a child, that kind of thing. But while he is very youthful, he is, as I say, the youngest Pasha among this diamond. Of course, he is intellectual. He did catch what someone was trying to do, to try to bring about, instilling this war between these two nations by trying to set up his own parent nation. And I don't really feel like I'm going to be wanting to discuss this episodically. That may change per the second episode, per whatever happens in it. If some crazy stuff happens and I'm gobsmacked by it, of course, I will come back and I will, discuss it in videos. But I did want to put it out there for the first episode at least, that I was really wowed by this and very intrigued and compelled by it. I'm definitely going to be watching it to its fruition. And it'll just be interesting because, as I say, I kind of alluded to the fact that I think there might be people internally to not only this empire, as we saw with this character of Lewis with the green hair, but I kind of feel like there's a sort of the chief member of opposition of the Diamond that Mahmoud has to deal with is this character Zahir, who has purple hair. And just the standoffish way he is behaving around Mahmoud, the way he is disbelieving of him, just really kind of, instills in my mind that, okay, this cat might be dirty too. What if he's actually working in tandem with this Lewis guy from the opposing kingdom? What if he's not cracked up to be as peaceable as the rest of the Pashas of the Divan? That's just my speculation. I could be way off base. That could be, entirely meaningless by the end. But that's going to be part of the interesting aspect of it, seeing how that all plays out. And I also love, again, referring back to Arslan Senki, how Mahmoud has this eagle that he travels around with. And he's sicked this eagle and a whole flock of them on some of the, guys that were trying to get the better of the, the movement between he and Halil and some of their compatriots on their journey to this empire to implore them that, no, we were not responsible. They come under the attack as ordered by the Lewis character, the dirty dealing character of the empirical side. So they're going to be constantly faced with the threat of assassination and people trying to manipulate and bring about war between these nations. And it's just going to be really intriguing to see how it unfolds step by step. I don't know what the length of the series is as of yet. I'd be hoping that it's just the standard 12 to 13 episodes, something like that. But it could go longer, and hopefully as the series unfolds, we'll find that, it's all the better for it, if that is the case. But I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. If you've seen the first episode of Shoukoku no Altair, if you enjoyed it as well. I don't even know if I said that right. I haven't memorized the name yet. Shoukoku, I think it was, no Altair. But if you've seen the first episode, if you found it as compelling as I did and intriguing and such like that, if you will be watching it, if not, why not? Let me know in the comments below. Just love having that conversation. Again, it's not one I'm necessarily going to be reviewing every single episode. It remains to be seen as yet. But I had to come on and talk about the first one because I found it so interesting and so reminiscent to Arslan Senki, which I loved. So, yeah, hope to hear from you guys in the comments, as I say. And otherwise, it'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.